Greetings. Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor, brought to you by Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. Today I'm in conversation with Sibo Muteyiwa, Potraz Deputy Director, Marketing and International Relations. If you enjoy this episode, remember to subscribe, to like, and to share. Let's get down to some work.
That was a scary moment for me, and it was my first ever retrenchment in my life. If there's a job I can do for free, is the job that I did at World Vision.
Wow.
I always say I'm a 5 a.m. person. I wake up very early in the morning. The first thing I do is to talk to myself.
Welcome to In Conversation with Trevor Sibo.
Thank you, Trevor. Such an honor and privilege. I was so motivated by the invitation, very unexpected, but I just then began to reflect on my life.
Right.
And, look at what it is that you saw in me and my career that encouraged you or motivated you to invite me.
We've been watching you. The
Thank
team has
you.
been watching you. And we thought, let's sit down and chat. So you've had 25 years of professional experience. And I'm just going to go to the highlights with Shabani Mashaba Mines, SMM Holdings, mining, then hospitality with RTG. Then you went into the NGO sector, Zimbabwe Agricultural Society. Now you are with Potraz. And of those 25 years, 15 of those years were in senior management and 10 of those years in ESCOM. Tell me, when you look back, what have been the pivotal moments in your life? The moments where you look back and say, that changed my life, that contributed to who I've become?
I think it's, being led and ushered into my profession by people with a vision, people that I've learned so much from. Difficult bosses and, people who make you reflect on whether, you are a professional entrepreneur or you are an entrepreneur yourself. Right. Turning challenges into opportunities. I've had a lot of challenges. I think maybe we'll share later that when I left SMM Holdings, it was because the company had been closed. We just woke up and the company was non-existent. So those kind of opportunities, those kind of issues are very challenging, but they teach you a lot about yourself.
What do you mean by difficult bosses? What's a difficult boss? Can you describe it for us? Some people out there might realize they're difficult bosses. What does that mean?
I think people who know, what they want from their teams, people who have a vision, people whom probably we might not get their vision, but eventually you get into line because they would have, been pushing you to push you to the level which you become a better person and you become, probably surprise yourself. That's what I can say.
But that means you're prepared to learn.
Oh, yes.
You want to change.
I'm a passionate, yes, I'm a passionate, continuous learner. I believe that any person who does not want to learn really cannot grow, cannot succeed in anything. Whether you're an entrepreneur, you are an innovator, you must have an open mind, Trevor. I think you must have a mindset that is willing to take in even the chaff and then sit down and decide, to then separate the chaff from the good that you can take from that situation. You
mentioned clearly a traumatic season of your life with Shabani Mashaba Mines, where you get up and the company has been closed. Talk to me about that. What does it feel like? I mean, you went home last night, all was okay. You get up, you have no job, and there's no company to go to. Talk to us about that space.
You know, it was very interesting, Trevor, because we got to work one morning and the doors were closed. And your heart begins to pound. Because at that time, I was young. I had no savings. And we're a young couple. We didn't have a business. And basically to then say, you know how you live hand to mouth.
Yes.
And you're thinking, you're looking forward to a salary every month. And I like the way a gentleman called Zuze, who teaches about retirement planning, puts it and says, you must plan as if tomorrow you will not have another job. And I wish I had known then, because we just woke up, suddenly didn't have a car that we had, didn't have a salary that was coming in, and with zero savings. And you can imagine when you get home and you're sitting on a couch and you're thinking to yourself, what do I do now? What do I do? And you're looking at the kids and looking at your family, the responsibilities that you have, the bills, and you're thinking, what now? So really that was a scary moment for me. And it was my first ever retrenchment in my life. I'd been working for quite a while, but I was relaxed. It was a huge company, a huge, organization.
What job were you doing at that time?
I was a public relations officer at that time. And it was such an experience. And then, of course, you're thinking, wow, so where do I start?
What did that teach you? To be retrenched? I mean, I don't think I've spoken to anybody here who's been retrenched. What did it feel like? What does it feel like to be retrenched? What are the lessons that teaches you?
Honestly, Trevor, I think the first thing that you feel is confusion, followed by shock, then followed by, of course, okay, I need to pull myself together. I need to do something. How long
does that all take? Is it over an evening or it's over time?
It's over time. It's definitely over time, because you take days where you're sleeping and you don't want to wake up. And
does that sound like depression?
I think it does border around depression. For me, I'm a fighter naturally. I'm a person who does not give up. I'm a hard worker. I believe in using those kind of challenges as opportunities and look at how can I grow from this thing? What can I learn from this thing? So a few days after we had been given our letters that we were retrenched and the money was going to be, landing in our account, like month end, I think it was month end, it was a while back. I then started thinking about, okay, when the money comes, what then happens? And we had a cottage at the back, that we're not using. We're using it as a storeroom.
Right.
And one afternoon, I actually woke up after taking a nap because I was at home. And I walked to the garden and then decided to dig some space for vegetables. Imagine, for the first time in my life, I decided, we need to do some vegetable garden and tomatoes here. And then, and then my eyes just, gazed at this structure behind our house. And it was a one bed with a shower and a toilet. And my sister-in-law used to use it as a salon. And I then decided, let's clean this up. Cleaned it up. And then for some reason, God just ushered in a young lady who was working for a bank at that time. And she was stuck with accommodation and she came and lived there. And there we are. We began to get some revenue from that structure.
What was the biggest lesson that we walked away from that experience?
I think out of adversity, you become strong, and you discover the strengths that you did not know you have. You become an entrepreneur in ways that you probably didn't know you could. Because to me, I never thought that structure in my yard could actually be a revenue generating structure. It was just, we just put all the junk that we had in the house, it was just lying there. So I think it makes you think outside the box.
Could this be your biggest professional challenge that you've ever experienced?
I believe so. I believe so. And I was young. And so because you are young, you're still thinking, you know, I'm good at this and I'm trying to get to a certain level in my career. I'd just been promoted, by the way, Trevor. You know, I'd been offered a job by Southampton. That time there was Southampton. It's Southampton, yes. And they had offered me a job. And my HR director, Honorable Mike Beamer, who was our group HR director at that time, then said, no, you're not leaving. We're going to promote you because we can see that, you know, you're good at what you do. You're passionate. You have the same passion and drive that our visionary of this organization has. And I believe you have a thing going on there. So they promoted me. And just 6 months after promotion, I lose my job. You know, it was just such a shock. But like I said, out of adversity, there's opportunities.
Did you think I should have taken my Southampton insurance job?
That's the first thing that actually comes to mind. You're like, why didn't I just go ahead and take it, you know? Yeah. Kind of, you know, but, you know, good things came. And I tell you, God has been with me in my journey because I'm a rural girl, I'm sure you know. And even when I look back in my childhood in Plumtree and in rural areas, I believe God was just walking with me, because even the time after I was retrenched, I stayed at home for 6 months. And from nowhere, I kid you not, Trevor, from nowhere, this employment agency just called me. And they said, you know, are you free? Are you available? Are you available to take up a position? Because we have an NGO which, you know, is looking for a PR and marketing manager. And there's my promotion right there already. And I was like, yes, actually I am available. I've just recently been retrenched, so I'm at home. And yeah, and I went for the interview. What
NGO was this?
World Vision International. And I actually didn't know. And this was the time around 2003. I was retrenched in 2003. And then so around halfway towards the end of 2003, that's when I went and I got interviewed. And the question that actually stood out for me is a question that was asked by one of the external interviewers that had come from Zambia. And he asked me, where's the book of Esther?
Wow.
I was like, is this an interview? I was like, is this an interview or what, you know? But I then spoke to him about the book of Esther and what I understand about Esther. And I understand from after I got the job, somebody then said, you know, that's what got you the job. Because World Vision, of course, is a Christian organization. And so really, I think besides everything else that I actually was asked and responded to, they saw, you know, that really I believed in the vision that the founder of World Vision actually believed in, which is Christianity.
What is the biggest takeaway from your time with World Vision?
Wow. I think I always say to my children, if there's a job I can do for free, is the job that I did at World Vision.
Wow. Changing
lives, really, really changing lives, where you go to a rural area and you find people who have, you know, nothing. And you are working with government departments together collaboratively to change the lives of those people. And I like the complete circle where everybody comes together. You have the DAs, or now they are called DDCs, you have, which are government arm, you have the ministries, the different departments, then you have the NGOs coming together to then, you know, care about changing people's lives, Trevor. And I would do anything. At that time, I actually adopted 4 kids that I sponsored school fees from primary school all the way to university. And 2 of them are lawyers, successful lawyers now.
Wow.
And, I've been to weddings where I'm called mums, Mumsy. And it's a beautiful story.
What do you enjoy most about that work?
The changing of lives, the opportunity to make a difference in somebody's life, an opportunity to inspire someone, because when people see you out there, I believe that they see something good about you and they pick that. And I can't count the number of people, even when I was working at that time in rural areas, where they said, my sister, I just want to be like you. At a primary school, at a high school, I just want to be like you. And there's not much I had achieved at that time, but just that the way you are dealing and interacting with them, it inspires them.
Somebody said the biggest form of selfishness is helping somebody, because the kick you get from that, the reward you get from that after helping them,
it's immeasurable. It's immeasurable.
That's the biggest form of selfishness. You agree?
Yeah, I agree absolutely. It's immeasurable. The one of the young people that I sponsored at that time, a lawyer, now she's actually started her own law firm, and she's married with a family. And every time she always says, she calls and checks on me, And what else can I ask for? From planting, in the life of this young lady. And one of the guys worked for deeds office. At one time, I had lost my title deed, and I'd lost contact with him after he graduated from university. And as I was walking out of the deeds office, I heard somebody saying, Mom, how are you? And I looked back and I was like, oh my goodness. And he calls all his peers at his workplace and he says, you guys, do you remember the lady I was telling you about? The one that changed my life? Because he was born when his parents were now older. I think the father was in his 70s, and they came to my office, and the mom was in her 50s, mid 50s. And they said, Nanangu, we don't know what to do. We're looking for sponsorship for this child. And I decided to take up this young girl.
Would you consider philanthropy full-time?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's my passion. I like to change lives. That's what moves my heart. That's what moves my spirit. That's what brings tears to my eyes. To change people's lives, to make a difference. And that's why even today, I go to the rural areas to volunteer. I go to my home, where I was born, where I grew up. Plumtree in Malalume. And I go there, and when I go to Victoria Falls, there's a place called Comesa Market. They sell what we call mazambias, those cereals that I buy 30 of them. And I go, to the women at home, and I give each of them every time. So if you go today, you'll find at least 2, 3, 4, 5 of them wearing the chitenge that I go every December. I actually bring them.
What a different life you now lead. You are the Deputy Director, Marketing and International Relations with Potraz. We're going to take a break here, and then when we come back, we're going to go to that heavy lifting job that you are currently carrying. At home, don't go away. After the break, we'll go to look at the work that Sibo is doing with Potraz. So see you on the other side.
I think it's an opportunity for the postal services sector to, recalibrate and find opportunities in that space.
Welcome back to our conversation with Sibo Muteyiwa, Potraz Deputy Director, Marketing and International Relations. I got the sense that if I hadn't stopped you, you were just going to go on with philanthropy. But we've got to go to the job that's currently paying you right now with Potraz. How would you describe Potraz to somebody who doesn't know Potraz? What do you do?
Well, our mandate really, I think it comes from the Postal and Telecommunications Act, which is to license and regulate the telecom sector and the postal and the courier services sector. So that's basically, and also motivate innovation, within the sector. And of course, protect you as consumers of those services that we offer. So that's basically what we do.
Is the postal side dead? People don't post letters anymore.
This is my personal opinion, not really a position of Potraz, but I believe it is not dead.
Okay.
Personally, I think there's a lot, like with e-commerce now, we are all shopping online. I think it's an opportunity for the postal services sector to, recalibrate and find opportunities in that space. So I really think that it's not dead. They have huge infrastructure. And for me, with that infrastructure, there's a lot that they can do. They already have a foundation. Okay. And they have a distribution, channels and infrastructure that they can actually ride on for e-commerce. Yeah.
And when you sit as Potraz director, what do you see as the biggest challenge that the nation faces within the technology, telecommunications sector? Where do the opportunities lie? Where do the challenges lie?
My opinion is that the technology sector makes our lives easier, of course. Yes. We hear that all the time, Trevor. It improves the way we work, live, and learn. But at the same time, I think in terms of business, customers are now not really, within our countries. I think it gives us a wider, marketplace for us to be able to sell goods and services across boundaries and across borders. And so opportunities like that, in the yesteryear, were not available. Absolutely. If you were selling this cup here in Zimbabwe, that would be it. But now you can even have virtual shops. You can, I was watching one lady in Kenya who actually has a fashion show, a virtual fashion show. And it doesn't have like people, but it has these, AI generated images and models that actually will be modeling her products. And this comes to Zimbabwe, we see it. And somebody who's in England can see it. Somebody who's in America can see it. And so you are interacting with customers across borders and across regions. So that's a good opportunity.
And the challenges?
For me, the challenge is the dark side of technology, which is, as we can see our children. Yesterday, I was watching children who were at Prince Edward, and they were being told about technology and the negatives and the positives. And one of them said, some of us watch, content which is not healthy for young people. And I could actually tell what he was talking about. And so those kind of exposures, things that were, really protected, before technology it becomes accessible to everybody. Any information, any videos, any images, and the abuse sometimes of those kind of, access, that kind of access. It's quite rampant across the world, not just in Zimbabwe, Absolutely. But across the world. It's a challenge which we all have to deal with.
I know you're passionate about what technology can do to create jobs and talk to me about the ICT Innovation Drive project. I know you're passionate about that, where you've played a role in funding over 100 young innovators to take their ideas from prototype to commercialize them. And also you have about 300 people that are in incubation. That sounds very exciting. And it must excite a lot of young people out there in the startup space. Talk to me about that project.
I see you were reading about what Potraz does.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being an ambassador and a marketer for our brand. Yes, there's a lot that is happening in that space. The team that is led by Enable leader, who is Dr. Machenget, is really pushing for innovations that will make a difference in various industries and sectors of the economy. We want to be in farming, to be able to make it easy for farmers to use technology or write on technology, to probably find whether there's insects underneath the ground and have drones, watering their gardens or their farms and things like that, to make it easier for them to do that. So that is the reason why that innovation drive is there, that was initiated to be there. We want to see industries that actually use AI or AI innovations to make things faster, to produce products faster.
Have you, out of these projects, have there been any standout projects that have actually gone out to become big businesses or businesses just beyond innovation and being in a hub? Are there any that are successful that you could point out to?
I think they are. Personally, I've seen there's one that is in Marondera, I think, and several others that have, been, some of the innovations, by the way, they're innovations that could make your show even better.
Right.
So you won't really see them, that they are working, but you see Trevor, delivering his interviews better and maybe better, visuals and things like that. So some of them, you can't point them out and separate them. Okay. Some of them will go into a machine and make it, mold better or move faster. So those are there. There are plenty of them that are there in the market. I can't really, name each and every one of them.
What challenges are the young people bringing to you within their being in this ecosystem? Because what I keep on hearing is that we don't have an ideal startup ecosystem. What challenges are they bringing forward to you to resolve as Potraz, for instance?
The issue of capital is one of the biggest things that young people bring in. We are trying as an organization to bridge that, that gap. Yeah. And then also the government of Zimbabwe has actually also tried to bring in other sectors to do the same.
Right.
So that we complement each other and collaborate in promoting these innovative young people. They are brilliant innovators who are coming out of universities, Trevor. You will not believe. We hang out with them all the time. I'm sure as you were reading my profile, you see on my LinkedIn, we are, working with them to train them on how to start and manage their businesses as an organization. And so we are doing our part for them to be able to appreciate what entrepreneurship as an innovator is as well. So that's what I would say.
I was also attracted by, my eye was drawn to your education. Where were you born, Sibo? Where did you start off? Where were you born?
I was born in Malalume in a kitchen. In Malalume in Plumtree in a kitchen. And then I grew up there up to when I was 14. That's when I didn't know actually Zimbabwe was this big. I didn't know there was Harare. I didn't know there were any other people but Kalanga people around me. So I grew up there, went to Malalume Primary School there, which I still go back and donate once in a while and support once in a while. There is my passion school. And then my parents were not around at the time that I grew up. I was raised by my grandparents. And then my grandfather died when I was 9. So my grandmother then took over looking after us. And then my parents came back. They
went to the war, hey?
They went to the war, yes. Both of them.
Liberation War, yeah.
Liberation War. And then they came back around 1985. That's when they then came to Malalume to ask for us so that they could. My mom was now with the Ministry of Finance. She was a junior economist. My dad was with the Ministry of Labor as an economist, I think a human resources person there. So I then joined them in Harare, and it was a shock. I wanted to go home.
Which school did you go to?
I went to Roosevelt Girls. And it was a shock, Trevor, because...
From Plumtree to Harare.
It was such a shock. It was... I'd never been exposed to such. One, I didn't know how to speak Shona language at all. I'd never heard of it. I didn't know even there were people who existed who spoke the language.
How old were you? So
I was 14.
You're 14.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then number two, 90% of the school was Europeans. And most of the teachers were European. And so the English that they were speaking, I'd never been exposed to. I'd never been exposed to.
So this is serious culture shock.
Culture shock. And but like I say to you, I'm a driven individual. By the time I was in Form 2, I had aced my ZJC. When I did my ZJC, L2, we had what we called L2 Shona. I was in an L2 Shona. And I got a 2 for L2 Shona. And one of the things that I noticed is that I would actually just speak the Shona and break it, and people be like, oh my goodness. But I would just go on. And today, I tell you, most people don't even know I come from Plumtree, because they're like, the way you speak Shona, you're definitely not, from Plumtree. But I'm Kalanga. I'm from Plumtree, definitely.
And so from the high school, where then did you go?
Then I went to university. No, actually, I didn't go to university first. When I finished high school, my dad, when we were waiting for our results, my parents then agreed that they didn't want any child roaming around, at the house or in the streets. Otherwise young girls would get up to no good. And so my dad had a friend called Brian Jembere. The gentleman now has service stations that are called BJ Petroleum. Right. He was HR for Rainbow Towers. It was Sheraton at that time. So my dad called him and said, we've got this young lady who's waiting for her results. Can you do something about her? And he said, oh no, we'll take some casuals, and so she can come through and, and work. And my first day when I went there, I was taken to the waitressing area, and the former president was opening the hotel. And we had this, way of serving, what they used to call silver service. You would put a tray here and you'd be serving food, and it would be hot. And when I came back home, I just didn't want to go back because my hand was red with that. I was trying to practice silver service. So that's how I ended up at Sheraton Hotel.
I see.
At that time. And then eventually went through courses, and then university, then masters, and long story short.
For me, the question there is, was this all deliberate? Did you have something in mind? Did you have a vision? You're going to do a master's in leadership and management. You're going to do a degree in marketing strategy. You're going to do a degree with WITS, telecommunications, policy, regulation and management, Irish University Business School, public relations, Institute of Marketing, certified marketer. Was there a pattern? What were you trying to do?
No, not at all. I had no idea what I was doing. That's the honest truth.
You're just getting an education.
I was just getting in there and getting an education. And also because at that time, I think opportunities were not as limited as today.
They are now.
And so eventually, actually, Shabani Mashawa Mines, my time at Shabani Mashawa Mines, I worked for NGOs actually before I worked for Shabani. Yeah, not World Vision. SMM. World Vision was actually after SMM. But I worked for Africa, which is a USAID project. I worked for Africa for 3 years. I worked for Zimnam for 3 years before I went to Shabani Mashawa Mines. And then I also worked for Fairfax in Chitungwiza. They were manufacturing melamine plates and melamine products. And so that was just, like that. But the turnaround or, the aha moment came, for me, came at Shabani Mashaba Mines, when the group HR director then said, because I'd been in admin, in, all sorts of places, I'd been just placed the admin assistant, what, all those things. Then the HR director then said, I think you're in the wrong place. Can you see identification of talent within an organization? So he said, no, you're in the wrong place. You're supposed to be in this space. We're going to move you and take you from admin to marketing and PR. That's when I became a PR officer at SMM.
I'm going to stop you there. When we come back, I want us to go to you have ideas on, or rather, you are a woman who's risen in the corporate space. What it's like to lead as a woman, and your experience, those that you can share. So at home, don't go away. When we come back, we'll go to that space. See you on the other side.
Applying yourself when you're given an assignment, applying yourself well, I think that's when it became clear to me as well that my passion was actually also in that area.
Greetings, my name is Trevor Ncube, host of In Conversation with Trevor, Zimbabwe's most engaging conversational show. I go beyond the headlines and beyond the sensational. We've brought before your screens change makers from arts, business, and politics, and from the region. Please join our growing community of viewers. Subscribe, like, and share. Welcome back to our conversation with Sibo Muteyiwa. So when we took the break, Sibo, you're talking about what sounded like a pivot. You are in admin and somebody supports you and says, no, we need to move you to that place. I'm always fascinated about those points in our lives where somebody notices you, makes a decision that affects the whole of your life in a positive manner. Talk to me about what that did to you and this person that did this to you.
I believe, Trevor, that brand Sibo Muteyiwa was born at that time.
Wow.
I became the brand that I am today because of that decision that was made to move me. And there it also influenced what I then studied in terms of my master's degrees and other courses that I then did after that, because it inspired me to actually apply myself, which speaks to the role of leaders, identifying talent and nurturing it, and positively impacting on individuals to change their lives permanently. Because I was not a brand at that time, but somebody saw the brand Sibo Muteyiwa before I even knew there was a brand Sibo Muteyiwa. So that's what I would
tell me. I mean, you somebody saw it before you saw it. That's an interesting space. But go back. Were there moments before they spotted this that you can back and say, no, actually, I thought I had it in me. I wasn't admin. I was this. I am trying to retrace your footsteps to your footpath to the point when this person recognizes that you're good at this. Were there moments that you felt, I'm actually not admin, I'm PR. I'm uncomfortable in admin. I want to be in PR. Did you have those moments?
Yes, I think because SMM was a big organization. And so sometimes people would be asked to fill in certain areas. And I think applying yourself when you're given an assignment, applying yourself well, I think that's when it became clear to me as well that my passion was actually also in that area. It was not in admin. I'm not a person that will sit in the desk every,
tick boxes,
and do administrative responsibilities. I do administrative responsibilities to complement what I do, because of course you can't run away from the admin side of business as a leader. But it actually then later on when I was reflecting, I was saying to myself, I think I was also just moving to that direction without really noticing it, because when I was given an assignment in that area, I would then apply myself and really excel, because it was a big company. We're going to farms, we had mines, we had, the petroleum side, we had, the financial services side, insurance. So all those brands were supposed to then be brought together, because I was at the head office, at the group office. So
you know why I asked that question is, as you're talking, I was reflecting on my own journey. Out in Magogwe Township, my father is a domestic worker, a cook. He would bring old newspapers home. I was young, doing grade 6, grade 7. I was fascinated by newspapers.
Yes.
I would read about Kissinger and make cuttings and so forth. But I never thought at that particular time. But now when I go back, you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
When I go back, I think that's where this thing started.
That's where it started.
I had my own Facebook before Facebook.
Yes.
So that's why I was asking that question. But talk to me now about brand Sibo. What has made you so successful in this space when you look back?
I'm authentic with myself. I tell myself the truth, even when it's not fashionable to do so. I'm passionate about impacting lives, inspiring younger people, what I call youngins, those who are watching me, including my own children, who are watching me out there. And, sometimes we've lost hope because they were born in a rural area in a kitchen, or they were not good in English at the beginning of their lives, or any other thing. And, to inspire them to see a better person in them, and to be able to reflect and say, if this person can do it, I believe I can do it too.
Well, how do you tell yourself the truth in an authentic way? Do you have a process by which you do this?
I always say I'm a 5 a.m. person. I wake up very early in the morning. The first thing I do is to talk to myself every day. Before I came here today, I spoke to myself. So that's how I then...
in our language, they would say, usehlanya.
Usehlanya. Kodwa angihlanye.
But I get you.
Ngizama ukukhuluma lami, my inner self and my God, and connect and align.
I like that.
And align myself to the purpose which God has created me to be, to pursue. And so I do that. And I think that is how I find and I tell myself the truth. When I open my eyes after that and I go into my exercise mode, because after speaking to myself every morning, when I come out of that and pray at the end of my quiet time, I then go into exercise mode, because I believe in staying fit as well. For me to have clarity of mind.
I like what you're saying, and I do it every day.
Yeah.
These are moments when I encounter the Trevor I don't like.
Exactly.
These are moments where I hear voices that are not voices that I want, and then I suppress them, and then I focus on the Trevor that I want to show up as during the day. Is that what happens with you?
That's what happened to me. There's sometimes, in leadership positions, sometimes you are confronted by situations. I'm sure you are aware. And, you then reflect the next morning in your quiet time when you speak to yourself.
Did I do the right thing?
Did I do the right thing? And when you do that, you will find the truth, whether you did the right thing or not. Something that no one else can tell you but yourself. So I think that it helps you to also ground yourself and find and realign yourself and recalibrate into the same vision. Because as we are confronted with our career lives, we get discouraged sometimes. We get the negative part of being a leader. In the corporate space, but that then it takes you back to the vision and who you are when you then speak to yourself and you speak to your God, because that I did what I did, or I said what I said, coming from a really good place. There was no negative or any ulterior motives around what I was saying or what I did. So you forgive yourself as well. Find time to forgive yourself.
Very important to forgive yourself, isn't it? Physical exercise, how important is this for you and how do you do it?
I exercise every day. When I always say to people, in the morning when I wake up and I say GT off the bed. When I say GT off the bed, I go straight into exercise mode in my bedroom. But I also run. I run, around my neighborhood.
Do you do marathons? Or
I do marathons. I think if you go on my page, you'll see marathons. I do the Old Mutual. At one time, I was actually the 10-kilometer winner for the Old Mutual Marathon.
Wow.
And it also qualified me, for the Oceans Marathon, which I didn't do because I was not brave enough to do that. I had not, trained enough, because I think when you want to do marathons, you must train. I have even introduced the power walk at Potraz every year in October.
That's
so we
beautiful.
do a power walk.
Well done.
For those who don't feel like they want to run, but they just want to do brisk walking. So we do one powerful one that happens. And then at the end, we do some exercises. And then we also generate some money to give back to charity as well.
What is brand Sibo known for?
Brand Sibo, it is known for branding. For branding, I'm a branding expert. I'm a communications expert. I'm a marketer. I'm a person who believes in connecting your passion to delivering service. Even for a product, if you're marketing a product, I believe that if I'm marketing this cup, it must connect to the customer. I don't push it into the customer, but it must connect and speak to the customer for them to be able to come back and buy for the second time and the third time and the fourth time. So I love people. I love people and impacting people. I love to converse and connect to people.
But people can be difficult to love sometimes, Sibo.
That's why God made us different. That's what I think. I think we are different because of that. And I don't believe that there's anybody who's all good, nor is there anyone who's all-knowing but God. So because of that, I accept that if a person is difficult, they are there to teach me something. I must draw lessons from it. I must not take the negatives and take it home with me. I must reflect and say, what does it mean? How does it work? Because sometimes people pretend they don't know when they know. You can be in a situation when you're talking to Trevor like this, and he knows, but he is pretending not to know. But you must be able to discern. And then get also lessons from those kind of people as well. Yeah.
I've found that a lot of us say we have no regrets, but I'm currently reading a book actually, which I will share about the lessons that regret teaches us. When you look back in your life, are there moments that you regret, moments that you would want to rewind and redo, mistakes that you'd want to correct in your life?
I think all of us do. There are major ones that I would say. I wish I had grown up with my parents, both parents. I think. There's nothing that beats you being there, But of course, they had to serve in the capacity that they were serving. So that's it. But in myself, as a person, I think I wish I'd taken certain hard opportunities that I did not take. That I decided, I think I'm not ready for this. Because I think I would have grown even more than what I am today if I had taken those opportunities. But what I say, I was watching one of your shows with Precious Nika, who is a very close friend. We bounce ideas to each other, and Sibo Muteyiwa and others, who are actually circles around me that bring sanity. That I do the ugly cry, I know. I look.
When the makeup,
and then you do the ugly cry to them. Those are the kind of people who really have motivated me to even be more driven than I've been. So I was watching Precious, and she was talking about being at a certain time, being able to being taken to a certain level when you're not ready. So I think some of us fear those things and we miss those opportunities. I think from what you learn sometimes from such situations, when you're thrown in the deep end and you take those hard opportunities, it refines you somehow. It drives you somehow. It makes your vision and your purpose more clear. So it brings clarity to you as well. So I wish I had taken some of those and just taken the leap of faith and taken those opportunities.
Interesting, actually. This book that I'm reading says most people tend to regret actions that they didn't take more than actions that they took. Because when you decide I'm going for this, you learn the lesson. But when you don't know what you've missed out. Mm-hmm. So I find that's interesting. You talk about purpose. Mm-hmm. Have you found your purpose?
I think I'm still in pursuit. Yeah, I'm hoping that God will eventually direct me and be a lamp unto my feet and a light unto my path and direct me to that purpose.
That's beautiful. Yes. I like that.
Yeah.
Failure is a good thing if we learn the lessons from there. What have you failed, and what do you have one particular failure that has been gnawing at you, and what did that failure teach you?
I think I always take things positive, Trevor. I don't focus. My mantra is don't focus on the negative, focus on the positive. So what I would say is I'm sure failures have been there, but I've taken the positives out of them and built even stronger bridges with them.
That's very good. Mm-hmm. What have your children taught you?
Those kids. They challenge you every day.
I know them. They are beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
What have they taught you?
One, that we all have a different purpose in life and that we are different. No child is the same way as another. And so what they've taught me is to always understand that we are impactful in our individuality. And we are, powerful beyond measure in our weaknesses and in our strengths. Because some of them, they do well. Others sometimes they don't do well. So that is what I've seen, that those that we wanted to push to a certain direction. You know how parents, we want doctors out of our children. But they've excelled in
that thought.
Yes. And, they've pushed us not to think about them as, you must be a doctor, but thrive in the area that they've chosen in their lives. And to me, that has taught me, to treat people and respect them in their individual.
But also, I think, to know that you might have brought them into this world, but they're not yours.
They're not mine.
They belong to God.
Oh, absolutely.
God has a purpose for
them.
And I think the best thing that we can do is to pray that God enables us to raise them in the manner in which God wants them to be raised.
Absolutely.
Rather than us molding them the way that we want them to be because we've seen so and so doing ABCD. Sibo, this has been beautiful chatting to Brand Sibo. What's the next big thing for you? What's the next big thing for Sibo?
I'm looking forward to it.
You're with Potraz now. Yes. What's the next big thing for you?
Yeah. I think as I prepare to retire, I've just come back from a retirement planning conference or workshop. And the facilitator inspired me to plan now for the things that I want to enjoy later as I retire, because I'm going the other side of 50. So I think...
Join the club?
Yes, and I think it's a motivation for me to look forward to that side of life. Yeah. So
I was going to forget to ask you this, but I must. You are a woman in the corporate space. Are there moments that you felt people are dealing with you in a manner that's unbecoming because you're a woman?
Oh, yes, it happens all the time.
All the time.
I think women are so underrated and underestimated in terms of their ability and their capabilities. Sometimes, you are looked at as, I think, because we live in a patriarchal environment and we are operating in such an environment, not just in Zimbabwe, but across, especially in Africa, where women must know their place, kind of, it's not spoken, but you can tell. And we are used to just men making it. So I think we still need to just adjust as a people to say women can also deliver. But I also don't believe that women are the only ones who can do it better. I believe that a balance brings sanity and brings success, because there are certain things that I'm strong and powerful and impactful in. And there are certain things that are brought by a man or by my counterpart, which together it becomes a success story.
How do you deal with those moments where you feel you're being treated like a woman rather than a professional person?
Like I said, Trevor, I'm naturally a fighter. I don't give up very easily, but there are moments sometimes when you have to take a back seat and then come back with an authoritative or a point that will make a difference.
Kick
because
us.
Sometimes, kick us kind of, to really make an impact. Because sometimes it's doubt in the ability of somebody or a woman in this instance. And if you are well researched, well read, and you can prove yourself, I think that doubt is neutralized.
What 3 books would you recommend to our book-loving audience out there?
I think the Bible is the first one. And I was brought by a praying grandmother, Taina Matiswa, Sasikhulekiswa, day and night. And now I get it. The Bible, to me, is a strategy document. It's a governance guideline. It's a marketing strategy. It's a branding manual. It's everything. You can find it in all there. And I encourage, if you are a leader, for you to be able to find time to read the Bible every day. I think it grounds you. It gives you direction. And then, of course, the power of a praying parent, because I'm a mom. I see the power. I left some of my children to go to work assignments at 1 month, and I can only see God having looked after them in my absence, because I had no control of that. So sometimes I had to sacrifice and go out there, because I know people talk about balance, but PepsiCo pharmacy always says there's nothing like that. And I believe her that there's nothing like that. You just do what you can and apply yourself well whenever you can. Praying Power of a Praying Parent by Stormy Amashian, to me, is one of the best reads for a parent, especially the young and upcoming executives. I also believe in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. All the financial literacy issues that I've practiced, and they've really, given me a return on investment. I took some of the points from that book, and so I love that book. And then also the 48 laws of
life.
Those ones. I think each and every one of them, if you can study them, they will make a difference, even as you operate as a parent, as an individual, as a visionary leader, as you lead other people, and then also as you fight, for your purpose in a jungle called the corporate world.
Wow, Sibo, thank you so much. I'm going to share my books. I'm currently reading this book. The Singularity is Nearer, When We Merge with AI by Ray Kurzweil.
Nice.
Strongly recommend this
I must
book.
look for it.
If you are fascinated by what AI can do in the next 30, 40 years, fascinating book. This book is important, written by Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is one of those tech billionaires that are around President Trump. And I know there's a 0 to 1 club out there, people like Chad Marco and others who love this book. It's been very impactful on a number of people. And one of the things that Peter Thiel says, which I like, is we tend to pursue university education when it's not really what we need. Yeah. Drop out of A-level and pursue what you want. And you have
skills.
To absolutely. You have skills. To go for that in a big way. The Gatekeepers is a great book, particularly as people are watching what's happening in the White House. You know, the people around the president, whatever president, are very important people. And this book, tells the story of 5 or so people that were around some of the great presidents that America has had. The son of Hamas, this is Mossab Hassan Youssef, who was a Muslim and was part of the guys that were sort of terrorists in Gaza. He converted into a Christian. And has written this very interesting book, his relationship with Israel, the Jews and the Arabs, and then finally becoming a Christian. Strongly recommend these 4 books. Sibo, thank you so much for the conversation. We will continue to watch Brand Sibo and see what Brand Sibo does.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for creating the time. Allow me now to turn over to our viewers who are all over the world. We are now close to 11 million views throughout the world. 47% of those in Zimbabwe, 53% outside the country. We are on 85,000 subscribers and growing just on YouTube alone, huge on Instagram and TikTok. We love your comments below this video. Go on and tell us what you think about what Sibo has just shared right now. Let's engage. And remember to subscribe, to like and share. Until next time, cheers to you all.